The first Wend Wellness product has arrived, my friends, and it's an absolutely fantastic one geared towards the purpose of enhancing mental and physical performance in the all-natural sense, without any additives, without any sucralose or aspartame or FT40, any dyes of any sort. No BS, just ingredients that are fully natural and clinically proven to enhance mental and physical performance. So what's in it, and how exactly does it do all this? Well, in short, as a few benefits that it provides, it enhances focus, attention, memory, mood, motivation, facilitates muscle contraction, fat burning, muscle growth, reduces gut wall inflammation, helps to repair damaged and ulcerated gut wall, supports brain health and brain cell communication, provides smooth, lasting energy and mental clarity for your entire day without an over-stimulatory effect that leaves you feeling jittery or racy or anything like that. Sounds too good to be true, right? Well, it took us 4 years to make Super You. And I could cry. I'm just so proud of the effort at this point and what this product feels like. I've taken it every day. We were going to make a video. We were going to put ads out when I first got the shipment initially. But we sold out in a few days and we didn't have time to put it up. People tried it. They loved it so much. It flew, right? So now we ordered a much larger shipment and we have plenty to sell. So what is in it? Number one, citrulline malate. Citrulline is an amino acid that we find in watermelon, in citrus fruits, namely in watermelon, also in other things like cucumber and whatnot, many different things. But the name citrulus actually means watermelon in Latin. So citrulline is involved in two major pathways in the body. One is the urea cycle and the other is the nitric oxide pathway. The urea cycle promotes the conversion of ammonia into urea and helps to eliminate toxic waste from the body. And that's, of course, a great thing because if ammonia were to accumulate, it could do damage on our nerves, it could do damage on organs and dysregulate physiological processes and all sort of negative adverse effects. So it's obviously great to do that. Now, in terms of the nitric oxide pathway, we talked about this many times at Wend Wellness. Boosting nitric oxide means we promote vasodilation, and the pathway goes citrulline converted to arginine converted into nitric oxide. And so if we can vasodilate our blood vessels, open our blood vessels, relax those smooth blood vessel walls, improve their blood flow to our brain, to our muscles, to our organs, to our body, we can enhance mental and physical performance. Not to mention, aside from the blood flow, citrulline actually regulates neurotransmitters. It regulates things like serotonin and dopamine. Those are things that are responsible for making us feel pleasure and reward and happiness. It regulates glutamate, an excitatory neurotransmitter or brain chemical that our brain uses to communicate between brain cells, between neurons. And so it enhances mental and physical performance and also mood, and just improves blood flow and promotes the elimination of waste from the body. Just absolutely fantastic ingredient. And there are 8 grams of citrulline malate in this supplement. Why is that? Years ago, when I first started developing this formula, I developed the whole formula myself. Years ago, they said 6 to 8 grams of citrulline malate improves exercise performance, improves endurance and power output, exercise to exhaustion times, which is another big pro of citrulline malate. Remember, malic acid is malate, and that's what's bound to the citrulline. And malate is an intermediate in the Krebs cycle. That's an energy-producing pathway in the mitochondria, or the energy powerhouse of all of our cells, right? Pretty much except for red blood cells, right? So it's an energy-producing thing that we put with something that helps to improve blood flow and supports the elimination of waste. Well, it's no surprise that with that improved blood flow and also with the way it regulates genes, does citrulline, that we're going to have something that's going to be good for exercise performance. So what does it feel like? And again, back to the dosage. Why this dosage? So we went with 8 grams. We went the high end of that dosage range initially because in our testing, we felt 8 grams, at least myself and everybody that I had test it, not test subject. I mean, it's a totally safe and healthy product, so they had no problem testing it. They're like, oh shoot, I gotta test another batch. That stinks. Just it was a fun process, a long process, rigorous research, 4 years, endless amount of testing. It seemed like, but anyway, so excited about it. I could talk about that all day. 8 grams was something that we felt to be effective for giving a lot of energy without an overstimulatory effect. Okay, now you can have doses up to say 15 grams. And citrulline malate is very interesting because it doesn't kind of make you race or jitter. It just gets you up. It makes you feel like you're ready to go. It kind of widens your eyes, if you will. If you've ever taken it in isolation, I'm sure a lot of you out there can relate to that. Now, more recently, as we were finishing the formula, they said 8 to 10 grams is really what improves exercise performance. So they upped that dosage. These are all safe ingredients, and citrulline is safe to even take, way more than this, as aforementioned, right? And so we have something in the formula that also increases the absorption of citrulline malate, and it does so by 45%, and that's called estrogen. That's astragalus combined with Panax nodo ginseng root, patented by New Live Science for the purpose of reducing gut wall inflammation, improving gut permeability, the absorption of amino acids by 62% on average, and vitamins by 50% on average. And it promotes the absorption, improves the absorption and bioavailability of different compounds by different amounts. And it happens to be 45% for citrulline malate. So that 8 grams is effectively 11.6 in how it hits and how it feels. But you didn't have to take any more than that to get that powerful feeling, yet smooth feeling. And so that was an important thing. I didn't want to put I didn't want to put high, crazy dosages of these things in here, of anything, right? I just wanted an all-star team that works well together in synergy with a few ingredients that are just proven to work, simple, and it will actually have a profound effect on your cognitive function and your physical ability. Okay, so citrulline, number 1. Where you're like, we'll be here all day. I'll speed up a little bit. Because on wendwellness.com, that's where you can order this, wendwellness.com. Our website is up and running. We're still working on getting the videos on there and apparel and getting our diet transformation plans and all that kind of stuff. But the product is available for purchase, Super You. And if you order it your first time, you get, I think I put 22% off on there. So, it's significantly discounted. And you can subscribe and save for even a little bit less than that. Now, when you go to the ingredient label, you scroll through on Wend Wellness. When you tap an ingredient, a list of the summary of benefits of that ingredient come up that I wrote, all backed by scholarly articles. You scroll down a little more and you tap Learn More. It'll go to a paper cited with scholarly articles on every single ingredient, even all the vitamins and minerals that I wrote. So, fully transparent. Full transparency is something you can have when you have a great product. There's nothing to hide. I don't have to sell anything. You try it, or don't. I mean, whatever you want to do. But you could look up the ingredients and go buy them all yourself and try to mix it together. Go ahead. It'll probably be a little more expensive and time consuming. Maybe you could do it cheaper somehow. But, the point is, there's nothing to sell here, right? And that's why I put all that information up there, because I want you guys to know exactly what you're taking before you take it. Before you buy anything, go read them. Go read through all those papers. And I'm just summarizing right now off the cuff, what I can recall at the moment about a lot of these ingredients, which I can recall a good amount because I studied them for years. But you should look at that before you buy anything. So that's the first thing. Citrulline malate. Creatine monohydrate. Creatine is the best proven, most well-backed by science natural supplement for improving power output and exercise performance that exists, alongside, say, caffeine, right? But creatine is right there. So what is creatine? Well, creatine is an amino acid that we find in meat and fish, and it can also be synthesized in the body, synthesized in liver majorly, and stored in skeletal muscle. That is 90 to 95% of it. The other 5 to 10% subsists in the brain, testes, liver, and kidneys, right? And so, what is the mechanism by which creatine is even formed in the body, if you're a science nerd, and if you're curious about this? Well, you have arginine glycine transaminidase, amidinotransferase, sorry. Arginine glycine amidinotransferase transfers an amidine group from arginine to glycine to form guanidinoacetic acid, or guanidinoacetate. Guanidinoacetate is then methylated by guanidinoacetate methyltransferase to form creatine. Okay? So the reason I mention that is because arginine and glycine are involved there. Well, so is methionine. These are the 3 amino acids involved in creatine formation. So you can also eat foods that are high in them and support endogenous, or inside the body, natural production of creatine in your body. So yes, your body can make it from those amino acids. Those would be foods like white meat especially. We said fish and seafood and nuts and seeds and legumes and all that kind of good stuff, right? So have high amounts of those amino acids. And meat and fish have the highest amounts of creatine, typically. All right, so creatine's hallmark trait is its ability to donate a phosphate group, creatine monophosphate. So it's this amino acid creatine bound to one phosphate, donates that phosphate to ADP in the cells in our body and in our brain to make ATP. It converts that ADP, adenosine diphosphate, into adenosine triphosphate. ATP is the major stored form of energy, that energy currency in the human body, right? And so now we have more energy to think. We have more energy to physically perform better. It'll improve exercise performance, power output, endurance, not to mention intellectual reasoning, short-term memory, working memory. Has fantastic effect on your brain. They recommend the elderly take creatine now. And it's so funny because it got a bad rap some time ago, years ago, where, you know, you see these bans on things. It's they banned stevia in the 90s, right? It's the best sweetener there is. It reduces inflammation in the gut. It reduces inflammation and improves insulin sensitivity, if anything. And no negative side effects, like the only one. Monk fruit is good too, right? But, you know, you can't go by what's once happened in history regarding FDA and regulations and all sorts of things like that, where they tell you these diet fads are good for you. You know, they talk about how sugar is good and fat was the devil back in, you know, like the 80s, the 70s, you know, and now obviously everybody knows healthy fats are the best thing pretty much you can eat, and lean protein, all this stuff, right? So the point is, don't think creatine does any harm to your kidneys. That's been debunked, that myth, a long time ago. If you're taking diuretics for kidney disease, or if you have just kidney disease in general, kidney dysfunction, you know, creatine is not for you, okay? But for everybody else, it will probably provide major benefits. So aside from supporting the phosphagen pathway, and that's that pathway that donates a phosphate to ADP to create more ATP, which the body goes through before it delves into glycolysis, or breaking down sugar for energy, right? And so that's why it can help to preserve glycogen stores, can creatine, during your workout. Your brain, your body can go through this phosphagen pathway orchestrated by creatine, and so it can save the glycogen for later, or later in the workout, or some other time, another day, when you need that energy, right? And that's a great thing. So energy, sure, it's fantastic. Creatine is also an osmolyte, and what an osmolyte does is supports the influx of water into our cells. It hydrates our cells, improving their function. And that makes sense. When you're well hydrated, you typically function better. And this is one reason you'd like to drink a decent amount of water with creatine, although you don't need copious amounts of water. Just make sure you're not having, no water pretty much throughout the day, right? It will slightly increase your metabolic demand and your body's demand for water, but in a great way. Okay, so as an osmolyte, it regulates something called the NFAT5 pathway, nuclear factor of activated T cells 5 pathway. And this is a pathway that's involved in the differentiation of immature muscle cells, or myoblasts, into mature myonuclei and myotubes. These are mature muscle cells, and so creatine promotes muscle cell division. It promotes muscle growth. It promotes the proliferation of muscle tissue. Literally, helps to grow your muscles. Now, this, especially when combined with resistance training, as it increases the number of satellite cells, which are precursors to all the aforementioned muscle cells. Right? And so that's a pretty cool thing. It promotes muscle growth in that regard. Also in a few other regards, it increases insulin-like growth factor 1. IGF-1 promotes the influx of amino acids into skeletal muscle and provides more building blocks for proteins in muscle, supporting muscle protein synthesis and muscle growth, right? So it supports lean mass, does creatine. Great for body composition. Absolutely. Okay. On top of that, creatine inhibits something called myostatin. And myostatin is a muscle cell proliferation inhibitor. So if you block something that blocks muscle cell proliferation, well, what do you think is going to happen? Right? It's going to support the growth of muscle tissue. You know, they've done experiments in mice where they've inhibited myostatin ubiquitously, right, throughout the entire body, which it's not a good thing. It's like the heart and things like that, you know, like dying. But they created Hulk mice, right? Now, creatine does this in a natural way. Remember, you find this in meat and fish. It's not, the things that you're finding in nature like that, having in regular amounts, are not going to do harm to you unless it's from some poisonous food, right? Which those definitely aren't. So, you know, it's an absolutely fantastic thing, is creatine. I've taken creatine every day for a long time. I feel great. You know, I've had great results in the gym. It helps me to think better. It gives me long, smooth-lasting energy, a long half-life. You know, at least 3 hours is the half-life, right? So at least be in your system for 6 hours, right, or so. And your body can store creatine. All right. So that is a lot about creatine monohydrate. How much should we put and why? So we put 3 grams. Actually, our next batch around might even have a tiny bit more, but 3 grams, because 3 to 5 grams of creatine is the daily recommended maintenance dose. And, you know, that's not by the FDA or anything. They don't regulate supplements, okay? But this is third-party tested for purity. You know, I made sure it was third-party tested. I got the data sheet on every ingredient so I could see exactly how much of each ingredient accounted for the amount of the ingredient, right? So, for example, I was going to put vitamin D, a anhydrous form of vitamin D, into the original Super U. And I wanted 100 micrograms. So then I looked at the data sheet, and it was 40 milligrams of powder. I said, what are the other 39.9 milligram? You know, I mean, are you kidding me? What's the rest? And it's all this other crap. I said, take it out. Take it out. I don't need it, right? So some things if I couldn't get it completely pure from the manufacturer, I wasn't going to put it in here because it doesn't need to have everything, just a lot of good things. And, you know, nothing does everything that your body needs it to do, but it does a whole lot for improving your health and your functioning, right? And so 3 grams of creatine is what we chose, the lower end of that daily maintenance dose. You can load creatine in the beginning if you've never taken creatine, and the typical recommendation would be to have, say, 4 or 5 doses of 5 grams throughout a day for about 7 to 10 days. And then once your stores have been filled, ample stores of creatine are present, you can now go to that maintenance dose of 3 to 5 grams, okay? So we have estrogen, astragalus combined with ginseng, remember, which improves intestinal permeability and supports improved absorption of amino acids, vitamins, minerals, many other things, plant compounds themselves. And so creatine is an amino acid. How much does it improve the absorption? 33%. So really, that's like an effective 4 grams, right in the sweet spot of that daily maintenance dose. Why do we go to the lower end of the range? Creatine is so great. Well, guys, first off, you got to remember, you know, it's easy when you're making a supplement to think, all right, I'm going to look up the high dose of all these good things, and I'm going to include them all together, and it's probably going to be fantastic. Well, guess what? It doesn't work out like that. You know, you can't just put tons of everything in it. You have to find a sweet spot where they work well together, but, you know, you don't mix everything and get brown, right? Because that's what happens when you try to put too much into it, or, you know, of too many different things, or too much regarding dosages, right? It's just overstimulatory. It's just too much. For the perfect feel, that's what we thought was the right amount. And 3 grams or less reduces the risk of temporary bloating, albeit it's extremely temporary, right? With creatine, you just don't take it for one day. If you were, going to the beach, if you take a lot, that is. This, you don't have to worry. You can take this and go to the beach. You won't be bloated because we included the low end of the dosage range to avoid that, right? So, creatine. We never would have made this without it. Alpha GPC, alpha glycerol phosphoryl. Thank you guys for hopping on, by the way. It's a very exciting day. The first Wend Wellness product is out, and I'm really pumped about it. I'm geeked up, I take this every day, Super You. If you're new to the party, enhances mental and physical performance. Go on the website, wendwellness.com. That's where you can purchase it, or you can just read information about it. And we recommend that you do your due diligence, you do your research on the site. We wrote scholarly articles on every single ingredient that you just click the ingredient list. Tell me another site where you click the ingredient label, and when you can tap it, it will open up a paper for you, or the summary of benefits, So I wanted full transparency. You guys look into this stuff before anybody buys anything, all right? But great product in my opinion, right? So, Alpha GPC, right? We get excited. We get what we're talking about. Alpha glycerol phosphoryl. So let's kind of break that down. So glycerol and phosphate and choline, right? So glycerol and phosphate are constituents of neuronal cell membranes. Choline is a precursor to acetylcholine. That's the learning neurotransmitter. Facilitates learning and memory and focus and attention and motivation and arousal and muscle contraction, and helps to improve exercise performance at the correct dosage, which is in here. Even boosts growth hormone levels and boosts nerve growth factor levels. Right, so that helps to grow nerves, more brain cells. It's it's a neuron growth factor like brain-derived neurotrophic factor that we talked about, which things in this boost as well, right? And so, alpha GPC, we have glycerol. We have glycerol and phosphate, and choline is what it's broken down into in the body, okay? When you look at a typical neuronal cell membrane, it'll have a phosphate group. It'll have 2 alcohols and 1 or 2 fatty acids, right? And so glycerol's an alcohol. We have our phosphate. So they are parts of the cell membrane, of the outside part, that bilayer, that lipid bilayer of a brain cell's membrane. So this supports brain health. It's not something that is just going to give you cheap energy. It supports your brain health, okay? Now, also slows the onset of cognitive decline, does alpha GPC, and improves thinking skills, memory, focus, attention in people with Alzheimer's and vascular dementia. When given at anywhere from 200 to 400 milligrams, it improved serial 7's test scores in people with dementia. What is a serial 7's test? And that was within just 30 minutes after taking it. There's 600 milligrams in this, by the way. For attenuating symptoms of cognitive decline, they recommend 400 milligrams 3 times a day. That's what they would give somebody with Alzheimer's. This is not for people with Alzheimer's. This is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. This does not treat, prevent, cure any disease. But, could lower your chances for getting certain things in the future. So I'm not saying that I wouldn't do that. But legally, I have to say that. Right? Now, the serial 7's test is a test where you count down by increments of 7 from 100, and it's a common test that they use to analyze critical thinking skills and overall cognition in people with dementia, is the serial 7's. Now, in terms of other sources of choline that also will improve cognition, well, we have something called CDP choline is another one. So let's kind of compare CDP choline and alpha GPC. We don't have CDP choline in this. We might include some at some point, but if I was going to pick one, it would be alpha GPC. Okay, and why? Well, alpha GPC has outperformed CDP choline at 1 gram dose for improving cognition, memory, behavior in people with vascular dementia, right? A trial showed that. So head to head, alpha GPC1 in that regard. Alpha GPC contains 40% pure choline, whereas CDP choline is only 18% pure choline. Now, CDP choline has a slightly longer half-life, much longer actually, very long half-life. But alpha GPCs is plenty long as well. Be in your system at least, 6, even up to like 10 hours. So, it's a great supplement, and the absorption is improved by estrogen, right? And they don't have the percentage online, but it is improved. So, what did we put in terms of a dosage? 700 milligrams. 600 milligrams of alpha GPC has been shown to boost power output and to increase growth hormone levels. It had to be 600 to increase growth hormone. All the research that I looked at, all the human clinical trials, if it was under 600, it didn't also boost growth hormone. I figured, let's get all the benefits. Let's test this. We tried gram dosages. I tried 200 milligrams. I tried 3. I tried 4. I tried over the years, right? This was the perfect dose, was 700. Now, in terms of giving you that feeling of mental clarity and focus and attention and just making you feel good, without any overstimulation or any jitters or anything like that. That's really the story with almost all of this stuff. So improving exercise performance is another thing it does, because it stunts exercise-induced reductions in acetylcholine levels. So acetylcholine isn't just involved in learning and memory and focus attention, it's involved in muscle contraction. And in fact, really, in terms of parasympathetic rest digest and sympathetic fight or flight response at the synaptic cleft in the synaptic terminal between two cells in the body, our body utilizes acetylcholine in every type of them, except for postganglionic sympathetic fibers, which utilize adrenaline, noradrenaline. Okay? So that would be like, getting you to, run away from the bear or something. You are going to release some adrenaline, right? Now, in the gym, you release a lot of this, right? When you're thinking, you release a lot of this. You want to read a book for a day? You want to study? You want to sit down? You want to give a speech? You want to go for a bike ride? You want to go for a run? You want to just go to work? That's what this was made for. Somebody that wants to do anything like that and just have a great day and feel great, not feel crazy. So that's hence the name, Super You. Turn you into Super You. That was our goal, and I think we did a pretty good job, because that's how I feel every single day. Now, I also eat really well. I don't want you to think this is, purely magic thing, that this is the only thing that I would ever have. I take fish oil, I take curcumin, I take vitamin D, and Wend Wellness is going to make forms of all of those at some point. But this was the first, all-encompassing, at least to a great degree, supplement for improving health and enhancing mental physical performance, improving your mood. It's the better way to start your day is Super You. Okay? So alpha GPC. Now let's talk about something that is a strong synergy with alpha GPC that we included in Super You, and that's huperzine A, Huperzia serrata, a firm loss. So what is huperzine A? You ready for this? It's a cholinergic sesquiterpene alkaloid compound. So cholinergic, it supports raised levels of acetylcholine, sustained levels of acetylcholine. We were just talking about the learning neurotransmitter, facilitating learning and memory, focus, attention. Does that just like alpha GPC, but in a different way, which I'm going to tell you in a second here. Okay? Sesquiterpene. So what's a terpene? A terpene is a volatile, unsaturated hydrocarbon that we find in high amounts in the essential oils of conifers and citrus trees that has a tendency to become a gas. What is an alkaloid? An alkaloid is a nitrogenous compound derived from plants that has pronounced physiological effects in humans. Another example would be caffeine. I believe theobromine is another one. Find that in dark chocolate. So caffeine's in here as well, but not a cheap form of caffeine. The best one we could get, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. So how does it increase acetylcholine levels? And is it good for brain health as well? Yes. It attenuates symptoms of cognitive decline. It has been proven to do so. It has a protective effect on the brain. So it reduces, it affects the metabolism of beta amyloid precursor protein. beta amyloid plaques build up in Alzheimer's disease. So this helps to degrade them through macrophage phagocytosis. This is I'm eating them away, right? This is great for brain health, right? So aside from how you feel, you should feel better and better and better over time, because you're positively affecting the structural components of the brain simultaneously while feeling good, right? And so it does that. It affects how those beta amyloid plaques negatively induce oxidative stress and promote DNA fragmentation, anything of that nature, all these negative effects that they would have on the body, apoptosis that they would induce. It's something that helps to regulate them, and so can positively affect the pathogenesis of Alzheimer's disease in terms of reducing the buildup of beta amyloid plaques, potentially. But this isn't meant to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. It's just really good at naturally helping to do all that. So again, I have to say that, right? So the better way to start your day, baby. Gino, how do you feel when you take Super U? If you're still on here. Yeah, feel great. I feel great all the time, right? So cholinergic. So how does it increase acetylcholine? Huperzine A, also known as Huperzia serrata. Well, it inhibits something called acetylcholinesterase. Acetylcholinesterase, let's break it down. Acetylcholine esterase is something that breaks down, and ACE is an enzyme that breaks down the aforementioned thing, or at least the prefix, we should say, of the word, right? And so acetylcholinesterase is an enzyme that breaks down acetylcholine. This blocks acetylcholinesterase, at least for a time, and so it inhibits the breakdown. Then we have alpha GPC promoting the production of acetylcholine. What a synergy. So that's promoting the production. This is reducing its breakdown. That means you have smooth, sustained focus, energy, mental clarity, beneficial effects on brain health that last throughout the entire day. Absolutely awesome. Gino, I love it, man. You're a beast. Let's see. This is a Q&A also. That's why I'm doing this live. I would have just posted some... Yeah, I would have... All right, Luciano, wendwellness.com if you guys want it. I would have posted this, as just a post, a reel, whatever. But I want to be able to answer any questions you guys have off the bat, and, especially because it's our first product. I want to make sure that you guys all understand to do your due diligence. It's flipped around because I have the camera flip. It's really super you. The wording is flipped. Don't mind that. I almost should turn around. That's great, Gino. That's fantastic. You felt amazing. Took it before the gym. It's a great time to take it. If you're looking for something to take before the gym that doesn't make you jittery, make your heart race, but you want a lot of energy and focus, sharp focus, feel smooth, not get tired, this is what you want. Oh, by the way, no additives, dyes, sucralose, or crap. The manufacturer tried to get me to use sucralose. Every manufacturer I sourced, 15 of them, they all said, oh, we're going to flavor it with sucralose. I say, what natural flavors do you have? They say, oh, yeah, we have this. We use sucralose. I said, I don't use sucralose. I'm never using that shit. Not in my supplement. You will never find crap in any Wend Wellness supplement ever. I'd rather pay way more and just sell it for more, which this is honestly reasonably priced in terms of its competitors. I know all of its competitors in terms of anything that is a nootropic that provides energy, all that kind of stuff, right? So, from Genius Pre to Mind Lab Pro to Quality of Mind to, a lot of them. Superhuman, they do a lot. But, is this a pure pre-workout? No, absolutely not. This is something you take first thing in the morning to have a great day, to just feel great. All right. Now it's also got it's not only got amino acids, but it has vitamins and minerals. It has a full vitamin B complex in here, but not copious amounts you're just going to excrete through the urine. They're in there because they are cofactors in energy metabolism. They're involved in blood cell production and the health of your cells and so many other things. We wrote papers on all of them, right? But it was important to have them in here. Really important for the health of your nerves. And the cofactors of energy metabolism was a big thing for me, and brain function. So you want this one, Luciano? come and get it. I got you. Come on over. I'll give it to you. So that's huperzine A, Huperzia serrata. So how much did we put? Well, they'll typically use anywhere from 200 to 500 micrograms in trials, and it's something that increases acetylcholine levels by up to 40% in just 60 minutes, right? At least some studies have shown. So you could use a relatively low dose, and it has a long half-life, 10 to 14 hours. It has the longest half-life of anything in Super U. And so I didn't want to put too much of anything, right? And when I tried this in combination with alpha GPC, and I looked up what the proper ratio was, and that was a 3-to-1 ratio, alpha GPC in milligrams to this in micrograms, so it's really way more than 3-to-1, right? Just milligram to microgram, though, 3-to-1. So it would typically be 600 for 200. We did 700 and a few hundred here because that provided the best feel, and you're getting the benefits of the brain health. We went to the low end of the dosage range on this. It didn't need any more than that, and we're proud to say so, right? So let's see what else we got. Beta-alanine is very interesting. Beta-alanine is an amino acid that you find in meat and in fish. Meat and fish is pretty good, huh? You find creatine in there, you find choline in there, and seafood, and all sorts of, So maybe don't skip out on your healthy meats, right? That come from nature. But anyway, and by the way, we recommend you get all of your nutrition from food. Get all of your nutrition from food. Don't ever take a supplement again if you want. But you better make sure you're getting all of it. You better make sure you're having all these foods. And if you're not, you're making a mistake. Because it's and look at the example of things that come from nature that don't come from food. Or that come from food, but more so from other sources, like vitamin D. Best example. If you're not getting sunlight, you got to have vitamin D. Most heralded for bone health and immunity. It's involved in hormone production and cholesterol, all sorts of stuff, right? Mood, yeah. Hair growth, skin health, teeth, yeah. So, all your nutrition from food first and foremost, but we're here to help you pick up the slack if you didn't quite have time to eat that diverse, colorful of a plate or plates throughout your day. And if you're looking for something that's going to help you feel focused, have smooth energy and mental clarity all day, Super U is what you want. WendWellness.com. Check it out. Read all the information before you buy anything. Okay? Look through the paper cited with scholarly articles that I wrote over the past few years with all relevant information on each ingredient. And there's a summary of benefits if you don't want the long read that you can just skim. All those facts are backed by scholarly articles as well. Okay? So, beta-alanine, right? We said you find it in meat and fish. Where is it? It's an amino acid. Okay? And beta-alanine combines with something called histidine. That's another amino acid to form this powerful, amazing anti-aging antioxidant compound that reduces acidity in your muscles, that reduces fatigue, that improves endurance, improves power output, improves exercise performance, especially during short bouts of exercise lasting anywhere from 1 to 10 minutes, 1 to 4 minutes, especially, but it's also good for endurance athletes. Reduces the buildup of lactic acid. What is it? It's an anti-glycation agent, meaning it prevents sugar from sticking to either nerves or to blood vessels, something that happens in diabetes, for example. Okay. It's a chelator of toxic metal ions, meaning it helps to expel heavy metals from the body, toxic metals. It's called carnosine. This amazing compound is called carnosine, and it's something that you find in beta-alanine. Now, beta-alanine also affects mood and cognition as well. It improves tactical performance and increases levels of brain-derived neurotrophic factor. That's BDNF. It's like fertilizer for your brain. It promotes the production, maintenance, survival of neurons, of brain cells. So exercise, intermittent fasting, sleeping, being less stressed. These are all types of things that would increase BDNF as well. Right? Or a bunch of foods that we mentioned the other day. From fish and chocolate and red grapes and berries and all sorts of stuff, right? Eggs, right? So meat, lean meat. So it increases brain-derived neurotrophic factor, does carnosine. And how does it do that? Well, it stimulates glial cells, which support connect, protect neurons to release brain-derived neurotrophic factor. Very interestingly, right? And this anti-aging compound is something that can slow the process of aging. Our carnosine stores deplete as we age, right? So we need to replenish them. Now, do you have to be exercising for beta-alanine to combine with histidine to form carnosine? No. You should take it on your off days as well, because muscle contraction is not required for carnosine formation. That's a fact, okay? So this is something you know, and you don't just take for a workout. You take this if you want to have a great day. I take it every day, honestly, and you know, I feel fantastic. So can't say that enough. I keep saying that in case new people are coming on. How you guys doing? Thanks for hopping on. Malcolm, what's up, man? Super you. First Wend Wellness product ever, and it's a great one. So we sold out before. We didn't have time to make a video, so now we're making a video. All right? Hopefully we get done with it before the sun goes down. So beta-alanine is something that can improve your exercise performance. It improves your brain health. It improves your brain function. And what is tactical performance? And let's talk about its benefits for cognition here shortly. All right? So in terms of improving tactical performance, that's sport-specific decision-making that carries over into real-life activities and creative and analytical thinking, okay? So your ability to act in a creative, analytical sense. Now, interestingly, it does this especially under states of stress, duress. So if somebody is tired, if you're sleep deprived, then beta-alanine is a fantastic thing to have in here because it helps to improve your cognition, especially, again, when you're sleep deprived. Or if you're under heat stress or cold stress or blah, blah, blah. They've done so many studies on beta-alanine that assess cognition that were done in soldiers and say, you know, them doing missions and exposed to loud noises and things of that nature, being sleep deprived, and that's when it seemed to improve cognition the most. So very, very fascinating, right? It's probably best known for its ability to reduce acidity in the muscles, be an acid buffer, contribute to carnosine formation, improve endurance, right? Get you an extra rep or two. It's been shown to improve endurance by up to 12% in 6 weeks on a 2 gram per day dose regimen, right? So how much did we put in Super U? And what's another cool thing? Well, we put 1.6 grams. 0.8 to 1.6 grams has been shown to provide benefit without giving you those tingles that people get with beta-alanine. It's a harmless side effect. Doesn't matter, but I wanted somebody who's 65 to be able to take this as well first thing in the morning, or a gym go-getter, or someone looking to just go on a hike, or someone going to work, and it's not going to make them feel weird. Now, you might still get a few of those tingles, okay? It's a total harmless side effect, paresthesia, that is nothing, absolutely nothing to worry about, and it will last for an ephemeral period, right? Very transient thing. So, short, nothing to worry about. Completely harmless side effect. But 1.6 grams was the high end of that dosage range that you probably won't get those with, so we chose 1.6 because that also provides the aforementioned benefits. Now, 2 grams would be even better. 12% increase in endurance. 2 grams a day for 6 weeks. Study showed, right? Guess what? We have something in this, estrogen, astragalus combined with Panax noto ginseng root that reduces inflammation in the gut and improves the absorption of the other compounds, and beta-alanine by 25%. So what does that land our 1.6 at? 2 grams on the button. So that's great. Worked out perfect. So feels like 2 grams, doesn't feel like 2 in terms of any negative side effects. Right? And this you can have up to 6, 8, 10, you have a lot. You know, common dosages are like 2 to 6.5 grams in a day, right? So you really go up there with this. But we didn't need any more than that for the perfect feel we were looking for and to get the most benefit, right? In terms of performance, mental and physical. So they actually induced mild traumatic brain injury in animals where they exposed them to a low pressure blast wave. They gave them beta-alanine over the course of a few weeks, and actually it reduced their MTBI activity. MTBI-like activity, mild traumatic brain injury-like activity. So it helped recovery of the brain as well. Very, very fascinating. Great ingredient. I would never have left out of Super U. Beta-alanine. Okay. So let's see. We talked about pretty much all of them. So we have caffeine, L-theanine, and estrogen. These are the last major active ingredients that I'll talk about, and the sun's about to go down. So we'll go pretty quick. Caffeine. Our source of caffeine is dicaffeine malate. You've seen a patented form online called Infinergy. Right? We use CAF2 malate. It doesn't matter. But it's pure dicaffeine malate. Right? The third-party testing says it all. So that's what's important. You could, just say dicaffeine malate. It doesn't have to be patent form as long as it's pure dicaffeine malate. What is it? It's 2 molecules of caffeine, bound to 1 molecule of malic acid. Malic acid is an intermediate in the Krebs cycle, an energy-producing pathway in the mitochondria of all our cells. We talked about malic acid being bound to citrulline and citrulline malate, right? And so this energy production from this keto acid, you also find in citrus fruits, malic acid, right? Combined with caffeine, which improves obviously focus and attention and physical mental performance, is a stellar combo. And not just for the reason that malic acid provides energy, but for the reason that it buffers the salts in the caffeine, and so it slows its release. It's a smooth, sustained release of energy instead of getting whacked with a quick, jittery kick, right? It doesn't raise your blood pressure, doesn't cause anxiousness, doesn't increase heart rate to the degree that regular caffeine would, right? No digestive upset. It's smooth, lasting energy, mental clarity. That's what Super U provides. And, it's subtle yet powerful, which is what I love, right? It doesn't fully overtake you. Just makes you feel great. And that's, we don't want to change anyone. We want to enhance your natural biological capabilities so that you can think, act, perform, live to your fullest potential. So that's Super U, right? That's the form of caffeine, right? Actually, 1914, Harrison Narcotic Act, they outlawed cocaine. So Coca-Cola needed something else to put in Coke that gave you energy and smooth energy and focus, and they wanted people to feel really good. They used dicaffeine malate. Fun fact. That's pretty funny. But it's actually probably the healthiest thing they ever put in anything they made. So good for them, I guess. Dicaffeine malate. 433 milligrams of dicaffeine malate in here. Whoa, that sounds like a lot. It's not all caffeine. It's 3/4 caffeine. Okay? 3/4 caffeine, 1/4 malic acid. So that means it's 325 milligrams of caffeine, and the rest is malic acid. 325 milligrams of caffeine is the equivalent to 2 brewed cups of coffee, according to examine.com. It's like 163 each, the brewed cups, right? So it's right around, right? So, that's not the only reason we included that. 200 milligrams has been cited to likely provide benefit in terms of enhancing focus, attention, and mood and all this stuff, right? Whereas FDA says 400 milligrams is safe a day. So we did 325, and it felt great. That's what we got. Bada bing, bada boom. Okay? Dicaffeine malate. L-theanine. L-theanine is an amino acid you find in green tea and a mushroom species, Balaea spatius, almost nowhere else in nature. It's extremely rare. It's neither essential nor non-essential. It was discovered by Japanese scientists in 1949. Okay? That means it's not essential. We don't need to get it from the diet. It's not non-essential, meaning we don't make it endogenously in the human body, right? And so, we don't necessarily need it, but it does have a substantial physiological effect, pronounced physiological effect when we do take it. And what it does is it upregulates a few major neurotransmitters: GABA, serotonin, dopamine. GABA, gamma-aminobutyric acid, is the major inhibitory neurotransmitter in the body. And so it helps to relax us. It reduces that overstimulatory effect of caffeine without stunting the stimulatory effect to the degree where you don't feel it, right? So it reduces anxiousness and jitters and racing heart that could be induced by caffeine. Now remember, our form of caffeine doesn't even do that in the first place, so it's a very smooth feeling when you have both of them together, dicaffeine malate and L-theanine. Now it increases serotonin, makes you feel happy. Dopamine, pleasure, reward, motivation, involved in motor control, right? Dopamine is obviously super important, makes you feel good. So this all boosts your mood as well. Okay, L-theanine, absolutely fantastic. A great combination, a great synergy with caffeine, okay, and especially dicaffeine malate. A great synergy with creatine, were a few things. Estrogen's a synergy with everything. B vitamins are a synergy with everything. But beta-alanine is also a synergy with creatine. They enhance one another's effects. Okay, so these all work together, these ingredients, to provide smooth energy and mental clarity, a great feeling, an overall fantastic feeling you have all day. Okay? So what's our last one? Actogen is another patented compound by New Live Science. That's Rosa Roxburghi combined with Panax nodo ginseng. Panax nodo ginseng has been used in traditional Chinese medicine for centuries. It's something that has been used to reduce pain and swelling. Astragalus you find in estrogen. That's the other one we're talking about. So we have Actogen and estrogen. Actogen is also called synactive, okay? But just because I didn't mention astragalus, I've just been talking about the improved absorption. They support glycogen production. They increase it by around 300%. Lower blood pressure, cholesterol, things of that nature. All right? Now, reduce inflammation, right? Absolutely fantastic. Reduces inflammation. That's one of the biggest things, right? We wanted something that reduces inflammation. It's associated with near every chronic disease, right? And estrogen does that, so does Actogen, right? Now, Actogen also increases levels of ATP in the body. Increases levels of citrate synthase by around 47%. That's an enzyme that's involved in the Krebs cycle, the citric acid cycle, that energy-producing pathway in the mitochondria we were talking about before, and it converts oxaloacetate into citrate. Those are two keto acid intermediates in that energy cycle, right? And so that obviously bodes well for energy production. It supports improved endurance and recovery, does Actogen. And it's something that reduces inflammation in the muscles and can help to reduce DOMS, delayed onset muscle soreness, buildup of C, all sorts of great things. So Actogen's great. 50 milligrams is what they use in every supplement. Every clinical trials use 50 or nothing. 50 or bust. More than that doesn't really do anything. Same thing with estrogen, 50 or bust, right? So that's the gist of it. We're losing light here. But go on wendwellness.com if you're interested in this and check it out. It also has 400 milligrams of vitamin C, okay? Not to mention it has other antioxidants like selenium. It has a full vitamin B complex. There's no sucralose, no dyes, no sugar, no calories, no sweeteners, no BS. Always and forever here at Wend Wellness. And I am proud to say that. I will never put a product out that would do any harm to anybody, let alone not have an effect. Always will have some substantial effect, and if it wouldn't, I will tell you exactly why you should be taking, why it's good for you, and why it makes sense to have it. So, go figure that out for yourself more than anything, more than listening to me, right? I'm not here to sell I don't need to sell anything, right? I made these, I have a bunch of them, and they're for sale, right? But, it's good to support the Wend Wellness business. Our practice is opening too, and I got to start paying a lot of rent, right? But this really is just a great thing. I'm excited to share with all you guys because, I've been working on this for years and years and years. And I've tried so many samples that I said, these are good, but they're not great. These are good, but they're not great. It's not the final product. I knew right away with this, and I take it every day. I practice what I preach. So that's it, you guys. We're going to go. It's really getting dark here. Pandale, how you doing? The Uncle Dell, Max Hastings, Preston, what up, Malcolm? Challenge Reality, Mano Salva, Ayo Housen, AAR, Royal Prime, Rich, The Better Way to Start Your Day, Brandon Malone, MR, Abdulio. Any questions, guys? Maxie, Berlin Van, Holly Pfeiffer, Is Kalan, I'm Jesus Garcia, Chargers W86, Alex the Dillard, LaBayou Boy, Arlet, Gouda, what's up, man? How you doing, brother? Electric, Gent J Chef, Crystal, Gilbert, Sours Dom, Suave Style for You, Dan Loves Dogs, The Fans, Street Masters, J Pitt, Lupus Boxing. If you guys want to get some of this, wendwellness.com. Mueve Tu Tinctura. I'm going to post a link on my page. Sean, Gino, you're the man. Aaron, Giovanni, how are you, my friend? Giovanni Fraporti, miss you, brother. Ryan, Cheerleader Boy, Insta Aaron, W Tang, Josh Winter, Nick, Bovan Supecto, Meg, what's up? Hugo in DC, and I am Cecile the Third. Thank you guys so much for the support. Thanks for hopping on. If you have any questions, send me a message. and we'll see you guys tomorrow. Not sure where, not sure when, but we'll see you then. Have a great one. Thanks a lot. Happy Wend Wellness. We ran out of daylight. Be well.